Hello and welcome to Dice on Ice. I am Connor and I'm running a game of Titanbreak today, a new campaign set in a mythical Greek-inspired world. The world is called Elysios, and in this world, the gods are adamant and human, and they walk the world as if they own the place. Monsters roam the wilderness, and mortals cling to these city-states nestled in canyons and on the seabeds and nestled into river valleys, away from all this monstrous wilderlands. Our game starts as we drift over this idyllic valleys through plains and vineyards, across a wide sea locked by land on all sides. We go north. We cross these treacherous whirlpools crashing from the gnashings of strange sea monsters underneath. We go farther still past the docks of some metropolitan city-state of bustling trade, marble stones, carts rolling on the bumpy streets, huge brass colossi flanking the bay, their large arms outstretched holding swords that cross. These are the guardians of the city. We fly past that still. And in the distance we see a magnificent mountain so tall that it breaches the clouds we cannot see the top. We fly past a forest. We follow a winding river. We see a town. And this town is the town of Pythos. And at the center of this town of Pythos is a large stone tower. A tower made not by human hands, perhaps, but almost looks like just a piece of the earth and lifted out. And around this pillar of earth, this omphalos, the temple of Clymene, with its marble columns and elaborate steps and attendants that carry important herbs and foods up and down these steps. And then the pious and those seeking praise or worship or libations to this goddess of wisdom would enter this temple and offer their prayers and sacrifices. And this is the city in which all of you are. You've heeded the summons delivered to you from various parts of this world on these large carrier albatrosses. Shouldn't get too hung up on the Greek pronunciation of things. These massive birds that live by the sea's edge, they are the messengers of this temple. You can see a roost built into this omphalos higher up, a roost of albatross. We'll start with you, Astera. What is it like for you to have entered this city? How long have you been here since you've been summoned? How long did it take you to get here?
Astera has come from a recent conquest out in the wastes of the north. She comes in with battle scars, and you can still see the dried blood and the marks from a battle fought not so long ago. In fact, when the messenger came to her, she actually saved the messenger as she was in active fighting at the time. She came in about a day ago. She does not want to dwell in this city. She gets disgusted looks wherever she goes. Some people even spit at where she moves. She does not look at any of them. Not out of fear or shame, but she looks above them. She looks over them, as if they are to of no consequence to her. She keeps her head held high, and she apologizes for nothing. Even when the innkeeper would not give her a room, and she slammed one of her daggers down onto his hand, she did not apologize. So that's what she's been doing here.
Perfect. How about you, Achisius? How was your arrival to the city?
I think Achisius has been here for maybe almost a week at this point. But I think he spent much longer on the road from his home of Akos, where his war god Polemos rules as king, and I think he probably spent maybe a month traveling abroad, looking for money, trying to make his ends meet by doing some work as a soldier of fortune.
And in your week-long stay here, you'd have heard rumors of a snake-bodied woman slithering through the streets, casting her cursed gaze throughout the villagers and traders and mercantile people alike. And perhaps you'd even see her in that tavern where she slams her dagger upon the innkeeper's hand. We'll move over to you, Xanthine. How was your arrival to the city of Pythor?
It was overwhelming, actually. Having been cloistered in a temple for most of her life, in fact, under the water, Xanthine is still trying to adjust to this life on the dry land and all the people around. And so she has been almost like a tourist, if you will, walking around, just gawking at all of the sights, almost forgetting why she was here in all of the hustle and bustle of this city and all the strange things that she's seeing. So I think has probably been here maybe a day or two.
Perfect. How about you, Echo? How was your arrival to the city of Pythor from the heat of this messenger bird?
Echo was enthusiastic about being able to get to ride one of the albatross. She's always had a bit of a kindred feeling towards the sky, and so she wished the ride was longer. She only just arrived within a couple hours. She was venturing between cities at the time. She had learned much about the world from her studies, and she finally decided that she needed to learn about it firsthand, and so she's been doing that over the past year. She's unfamiliar and a little trepidatious with this city, but she has been to cities of this size before, so she's used to the hustle and bustle, but still cautious of her surroundings.
And all of you, at some point in your arrival in the city, would glance over the script of the message of this bird. Message of the bird. A summons to the great Umphalan of Pythor to heed the words of the oracle, who asked for you by name specifically, and that it was of the utmost importance to gain her attendance. But the night goes long, and of course you have nowhere to stay here. No home, no homestead, no family, perhaps. So the inn would call to you. It is the sour vintage, this inn. It is a more discerning kind of inn, catering to travelers of the road, rather than those who cannot home themselves. And it's in this inn that all four of you would see each other, though in a crowded group of a bard whose horns and goat legs would betray his satyr nature, who sings some raucous tune that would drive most people insane, perhaps because of the monotonous lyrics or something cruder still about it. But the innkeeper denies you still, Astera. We'd have no room. Release me.
Do you not know who I am, why I am here? I am here on divine invitation. And if you will not have me, then you will kick out one of these people who are here and you will house me in their room.
And he winces from the pain of the blade. A bit of blood stains this oak, or this counter. Very well, there's a room, yes.
That is what I
You
thought.
can have it. Enjoy your stay here in Pythor.
She's gonna rip out the blade and tuck it back into her sash. Actually, she would rip out the blade, and I can imagine that he has some sort of cloth or something, and she would take it and she would wipe off his blood, and she'd just toss it back to him.
And he looks a bit flustered as he wipes off the counter and tends to his wound.
You do realize that you would make better friends with less aggressive manners.
And who are you to suggest that I need friends? And she says that she hasn't seen you yet, so she hasn't turned around.
Perhaps friends is the wrong way to put it. A hand kind of appears in front of you and it's holding a chalice with wine in it. Acquaintance, perhaps, would be better.
She turns, and you see the look of recognition just flash through her eyes. She takes the wine. Cesius.
Yes, it is good to see you again, Astera.
Of all the shitholes and of all the shit towns, I never would have guessed to find you at this time and at this place.
I can only assume that you also got a letter bidding you to come.
You got a letter as well.
Well, maybe it came to me by accident.
I'm sure.
Well, surely we're not the only ones. Shouldn't there be others? Surely it's not some of this lot. He kind of looks around at some of these people that are stained farmers. These people that obviously are not adventurers by nature.
Surely not. Do you know what this is about?
No, sadly, I do not. But if we are both here, it can't be good.
The only reason I even heeded the word of the gods was... What was did they... How much information was given through the messenger?
Very little. The message itself was very brief. A message simply of, you've been summoned by name by the Oracle of Pythor, and she demands your attendance. And this itself alone would be enough of a summon to summon any individual anywhere in the realm of Elysios to the city of Pythor, as this Oracle here demands a lot of authority and respect amongst almost literally everyone that exists.
So yeah, she would continue. But the Oracle deals with destinies, and you know I am a huge fan of knowing my own.
Yes, you were always very assured of yourself.
Well, since this is the only decent tavern in this town, perhaps we should see what our competition is.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Although, I'm only buying you the wine.
She nods and she holds it up, and her head kind of bows, and you would see her smirk, because Astera never smiles. All you would ever get from her is a slight upturn of her mouth as we would go and look for the others.
And the first of these two that you'd see that stick out like a very sore thumb would be what Xanthine looks like. Can you go ahead and describe Xanthine for us, please, Karen? What does she look like from a glance?
So from a glance, you can tell that she is not human. She has got long, and depending on the color of the light, the light, how it shines on it. Sometimes it would be purple, sometimes it'll be red. It's an odd color. You've never really seen it before in any of the people that you would normally see. Her skin is kind of very pale, but it's almost got a kind of bluish green tinge to it. But what stands out the most probably is how she's dressed. She is wearing some sort of armor. As far as you can tell, it's armor, but it is not made of metal. It is made from scales and coral and shells tied together with seaweed, as far as you can tell. And she's probably sitting somewhere on the side of the room, just kind of looking around, looking at all the people that come in, come out, what they drink, how they talk to each other. And she's just watching everything.
So you'd see her, an individual Achisius that you would know would most likely would not be a farmer or a traveler or a minstrel. Someone that seems almost in a bit of discomfort here in this inn.
And she's a Nereid? Is that right? And how common would it be to see a Nereid around?
Like 1 in 100 at least, as a most. Sorry.
Okay.
They're quite.
But still somewhat common. It wouldn't be like the first time I'd ever seen one.
No.
Achisius will kind of elbow kind of Esther kind of in the ribs, and then kind of nod his very well groomed beard chin in the direction of Xanthine. She's possibly of note, no? Maybe they are calling people of the different races together for some reason. Yes, I think so. But I'm not buying her wine.
And Xanthine would look up to you. Greetings. And what does she see? I think as you approach and Xanthine looks up and she's like, greeting. Oh. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not sitting at your table. If I am, I apologize. And Xanthine looks like she's about to get up, and you can see behind her, now that you're closer, you can see behind her that there's probably like a large trident leaning against the wall. And at her side, there is a short sword kind of hidden in amongst what looks like maybe netting.
Yep, I muted myself because I'm dumb. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
I think Xanthine would be a little flustered when you came at her kind of like that aggressively, and she'd be like, no, that's not it. You seem too important to sit with someone like myself.
Something to say?
Oh, no. No. You're doing fine. See, you're making friends already.
Did you get a missive from the Oracle calling you here?
I did.
Perfect. My name is Astera. This is Achesius.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I am Xanthine.
You are a Nereid.
And she would look to you, Achesius. I am. That
Have
is
you
all.
come from far?
I have. It was a long journey.
I imagine. Where do you hail from?
Aegea. Or Aegea. I can't remember.
Asia. It's been a long time since I have made it that far.
And at that, she would look at you curiously. You've been. And as she's looking at you, you may or may not see the spark, but there's a like she recognizes you, which she covers up quickly. You've been to Aegea before?
Yes, I don't remember much of it, sadly, but I was nearly lost at sea. I was almost drowned.
Well, I'm and she looks down at the table and at the drink that she's got there, and she kind of starts to play with it a little bit. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're fine.
Well, it is a dangerous occupation I have.
And you are the leader of this place? One of its advisors?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, I just arrived. I thought you were.
Where you're from? You lead some sort of army, then?
Oh, no. I serve in the temple.
The temple.
That is funny. You think someone like me cannot serve in the temple? You're just like all the rest of them.
Do not get offended at my brashness. The temple is a worthy and understandable vocation. Forgive me, I am just a bit surprised that someone who works out of the temple would be called to speak with the Oracle.
I see. Well, I too was quite surprised to get the missive. But here I am, so we shall see. And you? She turns to you, Achesius. Did you also get a missive?
Yes, though not everyone seems to think that I should have. He kind of looks to Astera.
And I think Xanthine would probably smile a little bit under just kind of like look down and smile, because she also realizes that Astera doesn't believe that she should have a missive. So she kind of gets that.
Believe it or not, this is the way that Esther makes friends.
It's really,
you should get used to it.
To really put a note on that phrase that you say, Achesius, you've noticed that the rest of this inn has cleared out from the presence of Astera. All of the usual casual patrons have long left, whether to the streets or to their chambers. But the only one left is the poor, musing satyr, whose lute seems to hit a wrong note as you say that, and the nymph who just walks through the door, being Echo.
So, walking through the door would be a bit of an overstatement, as Echo almost makes it through the doorway until she hits her quarterstaff, which is strapped to her back, on the door frame on the way in. Quickly realizing her error and the loud crash she has made, tucks it into the door and emerges. Her appearance is very disheveled at the moment. She overturns her hood to reveal extremely windblown hair. But what's more noticeable is her unique appearance as well. Her hair is a variety of dark tones, but when it hits the light, definitely can pick up on some tones of silver. Her skin and eyes both seem to have a bit of an otherworldly glow to them. She seems to be about average height and a bit on the slimmer side of builds. But when she turns her head up after bending through the door with her quarterstaff, brightly lit green eyes appear as she turns up her head. Looking a little exasperated, she turns towards the bar to seek a drink, stating out loud that she seems a little parched at the moment.
Acacius kind of leans across the table, though he's watching Echo. I bet you 10 drachma she came in from the road. No takers?
Astera would look over to Echo. You, nymph, come here.
Oh, I've seen you before. Oh, yes, how could I walk past? You're the infamous Astera. Oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you. It's actually an absolute delight. I've seen your work firsthand. I'm a fan. And she'll go to reach out her hand with a kind of brimming smile.
Astera would take it. But you would feel that it is she grips it very hard. Harder than it needs to be. You must have a morbid fascination, if I am a fan of yours.
Oh, well, I just simply have an admiration for those that are competent in their professions, I'll say. Nonetheless, I'm very impressed. I can't quite recall where the battle was that I oversaw, but I was looking down from a rather slopey hill. Nonetheless, I can't say that your opponents remember much more than I can.
It is doubtful. Did you get a missive from the Oracle?
Oh, you mean the eagle. Of course. They even knew my favorite method of travel, it would seem. Couldn't pass up on the opportunity to ride an eagle, can we?
Excellent. Well, you're already acquainted with me. This is Acacius and Xanthine.
Pleasure, both of you.
As you. Hello.
Greetings.
You don't happen to have any further ideas to what we are doing here?
Well, I can't say I've ever been to this city before, nor do I know anything about the actual oracle that is called for us, so suppose I'm in the same boat as everyone else.
Wonderful. Well, to mysteries, then.
What do you do, Echo?
Echo would realize that she has not gotten her drink back and excuse herself for one moment to return with the drink, which she drinks almost entirely in one sip.
I am sure that since you have seen me fight, you must have some higher standing at the universities or the colleges. Research?
There are colleges of note.
I suppose not.
I can't say I'm much of a fan of a formal study, no.
So, you are what? A vagabond? Please tell me, dear God, you're not a thespian.
Do I look like a thespian? Of course not. No, although I can't say I exactly know enough thespians to understand your dislike for them, but I suppose the easy... Oh, well, good to know. I guess the easiest way to classify me for your sake would be a recluse.
Right. Well, come sit. Drink with us.
Yes, of course. I must simply check to make sure that there's a room for me here at the inn, and then, by all means, I'll come drink some more. Seems
If
I'm
there is
already
not,
in need of another drink.
If there is not, let me know. I will make sure that there is a room.
Kind offer, Esther. Thank you. And then Echo would go off to the innkeeper to inquire about a room.
He has a bloodied, bandaged hand. And he kind of looks around. Yep, there's a room for you. Seeing how empty his eating and drinking space is because of the Gorgon half snake.
Wonderful. I'll take one just for one night. I can't say how long I'll be staying, and I would also like another drink as well, please.
And you bring over the cask. Kind of pour out a chalice and hand it to you.
Okay. Echo would take it graciously and walk back to the table with everyone else and sit down.
So, I suppose, do we wait? Do we go seek this oracle out?
It's in the evening, right? Right now?
Yeah, it's late evening.
Was there any particular time?
There's no time noted on your missive, no.
Or would we know if there's like a proper time and ceremony to go and see an oracle or something like that?
You can make a religion roll.
Okay. Let's see. My religion. Okay, that's a 13.
You would fathom that perhaps visiting more during daylight or morning hours would be more customary than late in the evening.
Okay. Well, I suggest we go during the day. We can parade through the crowd, through the town, and let others know of our presence here.
I agree. That seems wise.
As always, Sarah, you know best. More reason to just sit right where we are and continue to drink.
mean to make a spectacle of us tomorrow in town. Perhaps we should just meet there.
I think that we have already made quite a spectacle in this town.
Why would you not have people look? You are called here by the Oracle, chosen by her eye, by her knowledge, by her visions. Is that not something to be proud of?
Well, that is something for me and the Oracle to discuss. I don't see how it's any of the business of any of the townsfolk here.
How quaint.
Echo would focus on twirling her drink now.
So tell me, Achesius, what have you done in these few... Sorry, I forget, how long has it been, since... I'm gonna butcher this name, Aganidas?
Agonitis?
Haha, okay, Agonitis, okay, cool.
Yeah. I think it's probably been 3 or 4 years, give or take.
So, okay, so then Astera would... What have you been doing these last... well, few years?
Well, he kind of sighs. And this whole I've been wandering here and there looking for work where I can find it. Thrusting the spear, using the shield to defend, the same kind of things that I did with Agonitis, only without Agonitis, obviously.
Who is this Agonitis?
He was a dear friend of mine. I traveled with him for a long time. I learned most of what I know from him. When I said earlier that I had almost drowned, he did.
I think as you say that, Xanthine kind of, she spills her drink and it like clatters to the floor and she's, oh, I'm such a klutz. I'm so sorry. Excuse me while I fix that. And she'll quickly scoop up the tankard and quickly go over to the bar where the innkeeper would be.
Achesius kind of gets up as this is spilled, just to try to prevent any of it from getting onto him if he can. And he says, "Yes, I must go check on Iocules. I will return." And he's going to leave.
I think Xanthine would wait until you've left before she comes back to the table. And then she'd sit down and look across at Astera. Oh, where did he go?
He left probably to... I don't know, I wasn't listening, to be honest.
Right. If you don't mind me asking, where do you hail from?
I so forget where we. I was so hoping I wouldn't have to say it.
I thought you were just like, I'm not going to tell you.
No, it's just Megan freaking out on the inside. Where did we say that Astera was from?
I don't know.
Oh, we didn't say. Can I
We
just...
didn't say. Make something
Perfect.
up.
Cool. All right. I'm from... I'm from Cadmes. A vast city who is known for their warriors and for their armies and for their kings.
And you are a fighter then? I take it a soldier?
No, not just a soldier. I lead. I am... Gosh, I am some rank that I don't know.
That's okay. I don't know them either.
Okay, I didn't want to embarrass myself by saying some random... But she would say it, and she would know with a bunch of authority.
And Xanthine would look at you with like almost like not understanding, and she just kind of smiled like, "Oh, that sounds important."
It is. I've fought, I've bled. I've seen those soldiers under me die.
That can't be easy.
It is war. They knew what they were doing. It is better than them being cowards.
I have never been to war.
It is not for the faint-hearted, or for those who do not care for their honor.
And Tim, Xanthine would kind of point to some exit where Achesius might have left. You knew him. So what's his story?
Yes. Well, he has fought alongside me at some times. And he Ignitus was my brother.
Oh.
Not by blood. He was a human. But we shared the same mother.
And so that is how you know Achesius.
Yes.
Your brother, you say?
Yes. Everyone loved Ignitus. He was a hero. He was popular. but he had an easy life. Forgive me. I say too much.
Forgive me, I pry. And you, Xanthine would turn to Echo. I don't believe I caught your name.
Oh, right. I suppose I should provide an introduction for myself. I am Echo.
I am Xanthine. You are also not from here. Sorry.
No, sorry. No, yeah, it is a first time for me here in this city. It's quite an exciting place, isn't it?
There are so many people, and they are doing such and the smells. I've never smelt all these smells. It's like I don't know. It's like it attacks the senses. Where I come from, there's no scent like that.
I'm sorry, perhaps I had tuned out. Where did you say you were from again? Obviously, from a bit of a wetter spot, I'd imagine.
Aegea.
Oh, yes, I've heard tell about the city. I didn't realize there was still a population.
Small, but still thriving.
Interesting. So are surface folk able to travel there without, well, drowning, or is it kind of an off-limits place to many?
Well, it's not like they were be forbidden or anything, but I do not see many. Something about, I guess, the lack of air stops them from coming down. But for me, this is quite the sight, seeing all sorts of different people up here. And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from west of here and up from here, but really where I'm from isn't really that important at all, especially when I'd much rather hear about your adventures here on the surface firsthand.
Well, I haven't had too many of those as of yet. It was just a very long journey.
How long did it take you to get here?
I would say about a week.
Oh, well, that's manageable, I would say.
It's the farthest I have ever been.
You never wished to leave where you were from before.
Well, I had no reason to.
No curiosity for the other, for the land above the waves.
No, I've always been curious, just didn't think I would ever be given the chance. But here we are.
Fate does work in wonderful ways.
It seems.
And Echo would be content to just smile softly and sip at her drink now.
And so the evening turns to night as the satyr continues to play his raucous songs of vulgar lyric. that keep you entertained at best and just deafened to him at worst. The morning breaks. We will go to you, Achisius. Perhaps you're tending to your horse out in the stables with your squire, whose name is Iocules. That's a fun one to say.
Yeah.
What's happening?
I think Iocules is probably tending to the horse, and I'm dressing, knowing that today is when I'm going to be seeing the oracle. So I've finished like basically giving myself like an oil bath, and scraping it all off my skin, and perfuming my hair and things. So now I'm kind of pulling on this kind of loose shift, but it's made of kind of like a nice material. It's got trim along the edges of it. It's the finer clothing that I carry with me, and I'm just kind of getting myself ready as he's tending to the horse and the more mundane matters.
And so morning breaks for the rest of you as well. Do you do anything before going to the Temple of the Oracle? The Omphalon, in the center of the city of Pythor?
I pray. I pray to Sidon before I leave the room. Get out my my prayer wheel and the incense and do little libations before I set out for journey.
So you think the Master of the Sea hears your words, and perhaps he does not. He is not one who listens or answers in these days. It seems he is occupied with affairs far more important than your own. For the Temple of Sidon is a quiet place. Do you go as one, the four of you, or do you go separately?
I mean, if Astera catches any of them, like sees any of them, she is going to beckon them to come with her.
So I imagine once Xanthine's done her libations, she would exit out of the room and probably almost run right into like Astera would be right there. So shall we?
Yes, let us go. And you see that Astera is wearing I can imagine there are some ceremonial garbs that the captain would wear, colors or of different different symbols, possibly some sort of different type of laurel or a wreath or something like that, to signify from which kingdom they come from. Normally I do not partake in such. And she like would almost like touch, like I'm sure there's like some sort of just like tassel or something very superfluous on her garments. But we are seeing the oracle, and you are wearing that.
What's wrong with this? This is my finest temple gear. And she is dressed in her vestments from the Temple of Sidon. So there would be, so probably like, I imagine like a navy and light blue swirls as the fabric, and the symbol. What is Sidon's symbol, by the way?
I would imagine it's a trident. Or a conch shell. Probably a conch shell overlaid with a trident is what I'd say Sidon's symbol would be.
Yeah, so that would be very prominent probably over the breast area.
Well, there is no accounting for those who follow the gods blindly. But let us be off.
I think Achesius is walking kind of down the hallway, and he spots Astera, and he like does like a turn on his heel, like 180, like, and starts walking back towards his room. But I think she completely and totally sees him.
Achesius,
Hmm?
will you be joining us?
Oh, good. Good morning, Astera. Sure. Yes. Yes, of course.
Very good. I see Agonitis has taught you the proper way of dress.
Taught me a lot of ways of dressing and undressing, and well, I miss him. But yes, I am presentable, I suppose. Where's the other one with the hair everywhere?
She did not come out. I have not seen her, and so I am hopeful that she is punctual and has left on time. As we should be right now.
Yes, of course.
And so you approach the Omphalon, which is almost, imagine a crater inset into the streets of Pythor. And on this crater, it is lined with these marble steps that descend down, almost like an amphitheater. But at its center is this massive building with columns and archways of marble. And at the center of that building is a tall spire of just pure stone, this monolithic thing. It stretches high, higher than anything that any mortal could ever build. Perhaps something that the gods made way back when they conquered the world. This is the temple of Saimini, the Omphalon. You see some attendants dressed in their simple garb, one pulling, the other pushing a cart of fish and fruits down the steps, being careful not to knock them asunder. When they look at you, Xanthi, they seem to catch or stare at you for a bit longer than normal. And they descend, and you see them disappear. And you see others. You see women dressed in robes, waving incense at the entryway. And inside is, you can hear the sounds of just birdsong, prayers, just people talking in reverent silence all at once, almost in this paradoxical cacophony. And as you descend these steps, inside you see that these great plants grow in the places where the sunlight reaches, from hollows in the ceiling. A small spring flows from one side of the temple to the other. As you see other priests and priestesses gathering urns of water to pour into the various parts and fountains of the place. And at its center, at the center of this temple, is a long altar. Atop this altar are 8 chalices, each adorned and gilded with gold and encrusted with jewels and gems. There's 2 robed priests flanking this altar. One on the left and one on the right, with this long altar between them. They have their heads down, their hoods covering their faces. They stand in silence and unmovingness. As you approach this place, one of these two robed, hooded monks steps forward, pulling back their hood to reveal that they are, in fact, not a man, but an elderly woman, one whose wrinkles betray their years, whose cataracts have blinded one eye. You've come to the Felon. What is your business here? And you see that she would look at the three before looking at the Gorgon Astera. And a bit of... Almost, you'd notice that there's not fright that hits her eyes when she witnesses you, Astera. Something that would perhaps happen when a regular mortal would have witnessed your frame. But no reaction is gleaned from her.
We have a missive. Instructions to see the Oracle. We have all been mentioned by name to come here.
Is that so? If you would mind, I would just present these, please, so I know you speak the truth.
Sorry, just a quick question. Did Echo come before or after us?
She would have went before, knowing that you wanted to do a full-out march through town, and the fact that due to her race, she doesn't need that much sleep, would have made an effort to get there early in the morning.
Okay. All right, cool.
So you'd see Echo perhaps by the stream, or perhaps looking over the many flowers that adorn the place, or whatever activities that Echo might do. Obviously being admitted to the temple way prior to your arrival, Astera.
Okay. Astera would present her little message.
And this woman would reach out with her hand. Her head does not move as she traces her thumb and finger over the parchment. Yes, it is so. As you glean that perhaps she is blind. And you, saying to the other two of you.
Xanthine would also produce the missive that she was given.
Achesius, I think Achesius has been this far before, but only with Agonitis. And this is kind of the point when Agonitis went on and he was turned back, kind of thing. So he actually has like a small hesitation because he doesn't realize that, this is the point when he's supposed to step forward and hand the missive over. He's almost caught in a kind of a repeat memory almost, and thinks he's on the sidelines. And then he realizes that he's one of the ones that she's speaking to, and yes, he kind of reaches into like his satchel and pulls it out and hands it to her.
And likewise, she traces her wrinkled fingers over these pieces of parchment. I see, then all four of you have arrived. The one of stars, please step up.
And Echo would calmly nod to the other three and approach.
Each of you, please stand in front of one of these chalices. They will be your way to the Oracle. To drink of this will be to see as she does. Please, anoint yourself from the waters of our spring.
Achesius steps forward to one of the chalices Again, though he's never lived through this moment himself, he heard about this moment. He was told in fair detail kind of what happened whenever Agonitis went through this. So he kind of, his reservations are present, but they're suppressed at the moment. So he kind of looks into this chalice and then reaches down and lifts it to his lips and drinks.
Xanthine would approach as well, probably to the left of Achesius. And she would kind of glance to see what Achesius is doing. And when he drinks, she would as well.
Astera would as well, not looking at the others.
And Echo would take the chalice, and then before taking a drink would look up towards the sky, close her eyes for a moment, and then with confidence drink.
And as you take a sip from this golden chalice, we'll go ahead and take a break for ourselves. As whatever effects will happen, you'll find out in about 10 minutes as you come back. So go ahead and do your biological human needs, such as visiting the washroom, visiting the refrigerator, visiting the water pitcher, visiting the wine cask, whatever you need to do. Go ahead. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. And welcome back. As you take a sip from that chalice, you taste that crystal clear spring water in your mouth, on your tongue. It is refreshing. It is the most refreshing water you've ever had. And thus you drink from the oracle's spring, her lifeblood. And now you may enter her chambers. The blind priestess walks towards the far right wall. We can see there's a corridor leading outwards from this grate. Almost a courtyard, it seems, as the sunlight shines directly into this place. Down these steps you will take. Enter her home. And you may speak with her. You are our guest. And thus, in every way, you are welcome here. And she kind of steps to the side and motions to let you go down these steps. You see these steps, they spiral downwards to the depths, deeper into the ground.
I think Achesius is waiting for Estera. I think even if she hasn't, Achesius is just going to assume that she's done this before.
And you would not know whether she has or she hasn't, because she acts like she has done this a million times as she nods and begins to descend down the steps. Well, she begins to weave her way from side to side down these steps.
And as you descend these steps, they coil around and around, plummeting story after story deeper into the depths of the earth, until they open up into what seems like some kind of natural cavern beneath this temple of Clymene. And in this large natural cavern is a winding river that pours from a hole in the wall and flows down and spiraling and pooling in places. There are stalactites hanging from the ceiling, stalagmites stretching from the floor. There seems to be almost a crisp mountain air smell to this place, despite it being a few dozen feet in the earth. And as the others follow, the others would see this sight as well. None of you have stepped foot into the abode of the Oracle of Pythor. The place seems strange, but then you see, almost carved into the natural stone, steps that help with the slopier parts, and almost carved patterns along the edges of a path that is more clear upon close examination. It seems to extend deeper into this place. And as you go down this path, you'd be following along the side to your left is a crystal clear river of spring water. And down you go until it cascades this river into a waterfall. Whoosh! You hear its roar before you see it happen. You see a great lake ahead of you, a lake hidden in this large cave. And in this large cave, you see a bridge that extends from the stone beach. The stone, I guess beach is the best word for it, yeah. This bridge goes to a small structure of some kind, made of marble with a circular roof. Perhaps that is the den of the Oracle? You're not sure. You see at this base, however, along where this path goes, there's a crate upended, its lid cast aside, and its contents spilling out that you cannot see these contents. It's a bit too dim in here. There's no natural light beyond. There's just some kind of strange reflection off the water itself. It basks this place in a shimmering low light.
Astera would approach this upended barrel to look at the contents.
And as you approach it, you see a strange sight. As you look closer, you see salt crystals and the skins of fish. No meat, no skeleton. Almost as if someone had cut the fish in half, scooped out all the meat, and just left these fish skins, eyes intact, fins intact. You see patches of skin, of fish skin, with their iridescent scales.
Is this normal, Basha?
This must be some sort of offering to the Oracle. The why it would be upended and disgraced in such a facet, I am not sure.
Should we have brought tribute?
No. Let us just cross so we can speak to this Oracle.
Very well. Yes.
I'd like everyone please to make perception checks.
Uh, 14.
16.
19.
18.
Achisius and Xanthine, you'd hear a sound coming from the inside this crate, soon to be followed by a fish flopping its way from the depths of the crate to its exterior and onto the ground. And as it flops, almost just spastically, it changes before your eyes. The fins stretch out, the body lengthens, its hind portion grows legs. And standing before you moments after, as eyes shift from fish eye to almost serpentine human eye, you see a being that stands like a human, though its feet and hands are webbed, fingers tipped in claws. Its ears are long and stretched and finned. Its mouth is replaced by a toothy maw. It wears around its neck a long bangle. At the end of this bangle is a seashell, painted on it the symbol of an obsidian eye. chosen ones have fallen for our trap. It cackles. And you hear bubbling behind you, and Astera, you see emerging from the depths of of this lake 3 more of these strange fish creatures, and a larger one that stands almost as a centaur does, but instead of the hindquarters of a horse, it has a body of a crab with large pincers, ruby red, and 8 legs, spindly legs, that climb out of the water. And everyone please roll initiative.
Would we have come armed and armored to see the Oracle?
I would say so. Probably. It's part of your just appearance. So it'll go, Achisius, you're the first act. As you see 4 of these strange creatures and then the large crab creature stand out of the water. One of which is from the crate. What would you like to do? It seems to have you flanked.
Achisius reaches onto his back and pulls kind of almost in one motion his war spear into his right hand and his shield of Aegis onto his left. The shield is almost completely circular, except at the very top corner, it's got this notch kind of rounded out of the top corner. And it's got this painted like a display of like triangles alternating red and blue, but in the center there's a very, very large painted lidless eye, bright white and dark black against the rest of the paint and bronze of the shield. And he will round on this Krabitar and how far away from me is it?
I'd say 15 feet.
Perfect. He's going to kind of set his war spear into that groove on his shield and hoist his shield up high so that basically just his eyes are kind of sticking out above the shield. And he's going to advance forward and attempt 2 jabs at this creature.
All right, give me that attack roll.
All right.
I guess those.
Yes. I rolled a 20 on the first one.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yes. All right. The second, 6 plus is 14 total.
A 14 will not hit. It will be deflected off of the chitin of its crab form.
All right. And because I have the Phalanx Warrior feat, my spear and shield together counts as if it was being wielded versatile.
Ooh.
Okay, so... and how do you do criticals?
The Jake way.
The Jake way. All right.
The Jake way. Take max
So-
and then make a roll to it.
Let's see. Max would be 14 plus 8. So that's 22 points of piercing.
All right. As you jab into the torso or the abdomen of this feral-looking creature, the blue blood spills from its belly, from where you punctured it with the spear. was 22, you say, right?
Yes, 22 points
Awesome.
of piercing.
And if you have any other action, or if you do not have any other actions, it'll go to Astera.
No, I'm good for now.
How far away is that large guy?
A large one about 15 feet, and then so are the smaller, more humanoid creatures, except for one of them, which is like 5 feet away, which is like right over the crate.
Okay. Awesome. Astera is going to race towards the larger the ichthyes. Just a quick question. I do not play paladins very often. Does the Divine Smite count as a bonus action?
No, it's a free thing you do. After you hit with your weapon, you can choose whether it's a smite or not. There's no action to do it. Just like
awesome. So if
a bonus action to do, you just make your attack rolls, and you can decide if any of those attack rolls are smites or not, and spend spell slots accordingly.
Okay, cool. And then if I have another spell that I want to spend that's a bonus action, I can do that.
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. All right. So as you see, Astera just race towards this thing, she draws a symbol on her armor, and for those, they would recognize this as the symbol of Polemos on her, and it almost like burns into her chest as you see this, and she is casting Divine Favor, which casts her in this radiance. So until the spell ends, my weapon attacks deal an extra 1d4 radiant damage. She goes up to this thing, and she is going to attack with her sword.
All right, give me your 2 attack rolls.
So one is going to be a dirty 20, and the other one is going to be an 18.
Both of those hit.
Okay. And oh my goodness. So six. Ooh, that's so cool. D&D Beyond took my my fighting style into the damage thing. That's handy. And then extra 1d4 for each hit. So that is going to do a total of 32 points of damage.
All right, awesome. As you strike at this thing, blessed by the god of war himself, Polemos, with his holy wreath that you draw upon your own flesh that burns into your skin, as you call upon the favor of the king of gods himself, the one who slew all of the enemies of all mortal kinds and god kind alike back in mythic times. You do this again. You slay these horrible abominations that stand before you. These monsters bred by vile forces. And the sword blows slice and hack both into its man flesh and chitinous form of a crab, sending these shards of chitin as he splintered off with each blow. Xanthine, it is your turn.
So if I'm not mistaken, these I would recognize all of these creatures, right?
So you, as you look upon these creatures, you see they would be strange things in your eyes. You know of the Ichthyes, cursed Tritons, banished, cursed by Sidon himself for their hubris, to take on the form of half crab, half Triton. And these creatures with their face changed to fish mouths or shark mouths, these are those who call upon Sidon's favor exclusively. Almost fanatics, if you will. That have been blessed, you could say, by the weapons of the sea, with their claws and fangs.
So they're not the same as the people that I would be
No, you've
living
not.
with. Okay.
Their minds have shattered
Okay.
in their transformation.
Okay, so then at that, Xanthine will stride forward. I'd like to go almost like like they're all kind of in front there, right? Like together.
Yeah, everything's pretty clumped together right now
Okay.
in melee.
Xanthine's going to go right into the middle, and she's going to yell the words "Be gone!" But instead of just like there's a pendant around her neck as well. It's like a shell, probably like a mother of pearl kind of shell, and it glows as she grabs it and says these words, "Be gone." But instead of just hearing the words "Be gone," like this thunderous noise bursts from her mouth as she says these words, and basically I'm doing thunder wave. So it's a 15-foot cube surrounding me, so it'll hit everybody, but I'm going to use a sorcery point to protect Astera, Echo, and Achesius as I make it
Awesome.
just affect them.
So that's Constitution saving throws, right?
Yes. And for this, the spell save is 15.
All right. The Ichthyes makes it, the large crab creature. But none of the Sidon blessed Tritons succeed. Go ahead and give me your damage then from that.
Okay. Okay, so for those who failed, they're going to take 10 points of thunder damage and be pushed 10 feet away. And for the one who saved, he will take 5 points of thunder damage. And as this spell, goes off and these creatures are like flung back away from her, Xanthine also starts to rise from the ground. Her hair starts to kind of flow out from her, and she will move 10 feet backwards away from what she just did there without provoking attack of opportunity.
Your thunderclap sends one of these Tritons crashing into the cave wall, bludgeoning him further. And sends the other 3 back into the water, where they just kind of splash about and right themselves again. Echo, it is your turn.
So right now, how far away would I be from the enemies?
The Ichthyes is probably about 15 feet away, and all of the Tritons are about 30 feet away. In various kind of periphery.
Okay, so Echo is going to stay right where she is and cast Eldritch Blast, targeting one beam. Is there more than one Triton? Sorry.
There are a total of 4 Tritons, 3 of which
okay.
have been pushed into the water, back into that great underground lake. One of them cracked his head on the cave wall.
Right.
That was the one that kind of climbed out of the crate as a fish. And then then
Okay.
there's the fifth creature is the Ichthyes, this large
Oh,
Krabator
okay.
creature.
Sorry, I swapped them in my mind. So she's actually going to target both beams at the Ichthys.
Awesome. Make me some attack rolls, please.
23.
Yep, 23 hits. How about the second attack roll?
And 15.
15 will not hit, so only one of these
Okay.
beams lands and does damage.
Okay. So that does 9 damage.
So what does your Eldritch Blast look like from your spellcasting?
So when Echo casts it, she extends her hand out. It essentially looks like a thunderbolt that's kind of the color of the night sky. It almost looks like it wants to break from its path at certain moments, but it wisps past everyone faithfully. And when it makes contact with the Ichthys, it kind of does a repercussion surrounding it. Don't really know how else to describe it. I'm
that's awesome.
not feeling extremely articulate.
That's awesome. All right. It is now the Sidon Blessed Triton's turns. The one who cracked his body into the cave wall rights himself and moves towards you, Echo, with its movement, and tries to slash at you with its claws as it makes 2 attacks.
Would Echo? No, I moved up to the crab creature, so she's
Yeah.
not within 5 feet of me. Never mind.
It got
Um,
an 8 to hit and then a 14 to hit. So the 14 will hit you. We'll see if any reactions here. The claws will come in and do 4 points of piercing damage to you.
okay.
2 of the Tritons lock onto you, Astera, as they climb out of the water and swipe at you with their teeth and claws. That's going to be a 4, an 11, a 4, and a 19. So the 19 will hit you as one of them sinks its teeth after swiping at you. And these shark-like teeth do 4 points of piercing damage to you. And Achisius 1 strides up to you to do a similar thing, swiping a gnash. Getting a 23 with its claws, doing 5 points of damage to you. The Ichthys turns its forefront bloodied by the concussive power of Echo's Eldritch Blast and the many stabbings and strikes from Astera and Achisius. And it kind of rears back and chunk comes forward with these crab claws, both at you, Astera. Ooh, goodness. That's going to be... Oh,
Is Astera within 5 feet of me?
Yes.
I would like to use my fighting style with a shield. If an ally is in 5 feet and is attacked, I can spend my reaction to make a melee attack against the attacker.
All right, you can go ahead and make that now.
Excellent. That's a 17?
Yeah, 17 will hit.
Excellent, okay. Eight and 5 is 13 points of piercing.
As it rears back, it lands firmly on the tip of your spear. But it comes at you, Astera, with these huge crab claws. And they shatter your frame, it seems, as they knock you back, dealing a total of... Well, so it gets a 23 and a 25 to hit, both hitting you, dealing a total of 26 points of bludgeoning damage to you. And it kind of grabs you with these huge crab claws and you can feel them grappling you now. You're now grappled as it lifts you and moves you around. And then it rears back, and almost from the water itself, it shapes what seems to be a trident, and it moves from water to ice to brass to bronze and solidifies in its hand. It comes down, whoosh, whoosh, stabbing you twice, Astera. It's going to be a 25 and a 25 to hit.
Mhm.
For 42 points of piercing damage in total.
Holy crap. Okay. Astera is down.
Echisius, it is your turn.
Achesius, having kind of taken his opportunity in this thing's opening of his defenses whenever it lunged for Astera, has lunged forward with his spear, still kind of braced against his shield. He's retreated that and spun back around and positioned himself for another strike, and he sees Astera just basically just mopped across the floor. And he's seen Astera fight before. So there's this stone that like drops into the pit of his stomach, knowing that this opponent is incredibly dangerous if it handled her that quickly. So he is going to hunker down behind his shield again, optimizing how much of his body it covers, and then is going to kind of make like two shambling like steps forward and then try to stab this thing twice more. Yes, it's a 26 on the first one.
Yep, that'll hit.
Excellent. The second one, there's only a 3.
3 will not hit, unfortunately.
Okay.
So one of your spear blows lands.
It's going to do 11 points of damage.
As another true strike happens.
I am going to take an action surge.
Awesome.
So realizing that this foe is very, very, very dangerous, he's going to try to just take this thing down with prejudice. A dirty 20.
Will hit.
And I cannot get that follow-up one to work. 14 on the second.
14 won't. It'll deflect off of the chitin.
Okay, the one that hit is going to do 8 points of piercing.
Awesome.
And then as a bonus action, I am going to once again fall back behind my shield and form the phalanx shield wall. I can do this once per long rest. It lasts for a minute. Me and any allies that can see/hear me, if they are in 5 feet of an ally with a shield, they can add +2 to their armor class. Any ally who has a shield, including myself, gains an additional +1 to their armor class from their own shield.
All right, so you're now at a 19, and if any of you step up to be near Achesius, you gain a bonus of 2. But
To me!
that is not the case currently.
Yes, he will fall back. Not away from the crab, but just more towards where they can get to him.
Awesome. Astera, you have the life crushed by these massive crab claws. If you're truly down, you must make death saving throws.
Mm-hmm. That's a nat 20!
A nat 20, as the brand on your chest burns into your heart, something divine pumps through your blood. Something that whispers, "Not today," in your ear. As you realize, through the pain, that this is just another foe. Your wounds are not mortal. And you can act your turn, as this happens on the beginning of your turn, as you pop back up with 1 hit point. What would you like to do?
Okay, cool. Okay. First,
You are still grappled by this thing, however.
Yeah. Are her hands free?
Yep, your hands are free. You're just unable to move. You're restricted in your movement and your movement alone. You can
Okay.
definitely you can strike at it. You can try and break free the grapple.
Nah, she's gonna strike this thing. She is mad.
Awesome. Give me those attack rolls then.
All right. So, okay. Okay, so that's a 17 to hit.
That'll hit.
Ooh, I don't know if that will hit. That's a 12.
12 will not hit, no.
All right.
This thing has too much armor, too much natural armor to glance off those blows. So yeah, one hit. What are you going to do with it? One hit.
All right, she is going to put everything she's got into this hit. She is going to spend a second level slot to smite it.
Awesome. So that'll be a bonus 3d8 radiant damage on your weapon attack.
Yes. Plus the so
Yeah, plus your weapon damage. Yep.
right. If I go unconscious, I did cast Divine Favor. Is that?
Is that concentration?
Oh, it is concentration.
Yeah. So you lost your.
But it is a.
concentration from that.
Okay. It is a bonus action. Would she be able to do that still, or not because she popped up?
So you could have.
Yeah.
You could definitely spend a bonus action turn to cast that spell. Yes.
All right.
You'd have to cast it again, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. She's already... Okay. So that's... Okay. So many clicking. Okay. Okay. Cool. So that is going to be... 25 total points.
Holy crew. Okay. That is a severe blow. As you strike, Daughter of Lemos, you will die! This creature screams as it grips you tighter in its crab claw.
And does she have anything? She, as a bonus action, is no, that's it.
Okay. Xanthine, it is your turn. These Sidon blessed Tritons are harassing the melee warriors and Echo, but the Ichthys is just smiting, or not smiting, is crushing Astera in its huge barbed crab claws. What do you like to do?
And it's obviously it's still up. Does it look? Well, it doesn't matter how much it looks. I'm going to the wind, etc., is still flying around Xanthine as she is also flies towards where Astera and this Ichthos is. And as she approaches, as a bonus action, she will yell out to Astera, revive the fallen. And Astera, I'm going to pump it up to a 3rd level healing word. So you're going to, 3d4. So, nice rolls. Okay, 6, 10. So you'll get 14 healing.
Thank you.
And so what's the, before I do the second action, when you're casting spells, if you want to do 2 in a turn, one has to be a cantrip.
The second when you cast has to be a cantrip.
Okay.
That's how it is.
So then as she approaches and flies towards these two and she's healed Astera, she is going to reach out and touch the Ichthos. Is he wearing armor? Is it metal, I should say?
No metal. Okay. He's wearing bare skin and then bare natural armor of a crab form.
Okay.
There seems to be almost no clothes to him besides a thong necklace around his neck.
Okay, so she's going to try to reach out and touch him as her hand starts to spark and light up. And I need to put, okay. Oh, I got a nat 20. So,
Cool. Awesome. Max damage plus a damage roll.
okay, so it's going to be taking 8 plus 7, so 15. Yes, 15 points of lightning damage, and it cannot take any reactions until the start of its next turn.
All right.
So as she grabs him, lightning just shoots from the palm of her hand and just engulfs this creature in its entirety. And yeah, that's where I'm going to end. I am there with Astera and it.
So now you have +2 to your AC because you're next to the shield wall man of Achesius.
What does it take to like pull out your shield? Because I have a shield on my back.
To don a shield is 1 minute or 1 action.
Take an action? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Something like that. You have to like strap it to your arm and stuff. That'll bring us then to Echo.
Okay, so how close are all the Tritons to me right now?
There's one slashing and biting you, and that is the only
Yep.
one near you. Then off about 15 to 20 feet away, near the edge of the lake, of this underground lake, is the crab creature and its many Tritons, all attacking the warriors there. But there's just one like right in your face.
Right. Okay. Echo is going to cast Armor of Agathis on herself. She should have done this last round, but she's not the most experienced in combat. She's more of a theoretical combatant. So that gives her 15 temporary hit points, and any creature that attacks her is going to take 15 cold damage.
All right.
And she's also going to try to move as close to her companions as possible.
Yes, and as you go to move, the Triton will take an opportunity attack against you. As it strikes you, it will hit you, and as it hits you, it will do 5 points of damage. But
Okay.
the armor of Agathis will lash out at it with these cold vapors and freeze it in place, and it falls shattering dead from this blow, as 15 was enough to kill it. And so it is a Sidon-blessed Triton's turns. And they swarm all around you, Achesius. All 3 of them that still stand. And they gnash and bite and gnash and claw. There is highest one, there's a 13 to hit. That will not hit. And a 17 will not hit you. So no matter how these blows strike at you, they all just hammer into your shield. You're kind of knocked back with each blow, but none of them strike you fully. And so your shield training has saved your life here. But the Ichthys looks and stares you dead in the eyes, Astera. And you can see almost a form of madness creeping along its eyes. Its face is strained. And it crushes you just tighter with its crab claw. And as you try to strain to pull, it's able to beat you with a 27 to hit. And it will do 13 points of bludgeoning damage to you.
Still alive.
And then it comes down to this trident, seeing that it still hasn't killed you.
Is she still within 5 feet of me?
Yes.
Then I'm going to activate my fighting style again.
All right. It comes down, bringing down, just trying to, both pulling you,
Come on, baby.
Astera, into its trident as much as bringing the trident into you. Just.
That's only a 13 though.
and it just glances off of these large chitinous legs. This trident comes down a 27 to hit, dealing 14 points of piercing damage to you. Are you still conscious from this?
No.
No. It tosses you aside. You're no longer grappled, and as you hit the ground, you'll incur 1 death failure as you're tossed and ragdolled on the uneven floor. And it turns to you, Achesius, and tries to do the similar thing to you, snatching at you with its crab claw. It's got a 23 to hit, which will hit you, despite your shield formation. And it will do 13 points of bludgeoning damage and begin to grapple you. And seeing now that it's pinned you, it'll try to strike at you with its trident. That will be an 18 to hit, which will actually miss because of your shield formation. So just like you can even feel the dents occurring on the side of your aegis here, just like tiny little pock marks from where the trident blow strikes. Achesius, it is your turn. You're grappled. You cannot move. You feel the weight of these barbed crab claws crushing in on your armor. What do you want to do?
As this is cracking down on his body, he repositions his shield in between some of these the pincers, just enough to kind of buy himself just a little bit of room. And as he does so, he kind of steals his nerves a little, using a bonus action to do Second Wind to regain 7 plus level 12 HP. And as he's kind of bolstering himself just a bit, and he kind of calms himself with a little bit of a couple of deep breaths, he's then going to realize that this thing has him, but by doing so, he kind of has this thing right where he wants it, and is going to lash out twice more with his spear again.
Awesome. Give me those attack rolls.
17?
17 will hit, yes.
Good, okay. And
you find a gap between the chitin plates of its arms.
And the second one will be a 24.
Awesome, that'll also hit.
Okay.
Because that's how D&D works.
So the first one, 6 points.
All right.
But the second is going to be 14 points.
As you stab into this arm, you're able to twist it in such a way as the head kind of pops and you hear a sickening crunch. You know what it sounds like when you break lobster claw at some restaurant. And imagine that magnified tenfold as the sound of it echoes in this cave. This claw is broken and the literal pieces of the pincer crack open and fall loosely, kind of dangling from tendons. As it kind of just like, it lets you go and it kind of staggers back a bit, reeling from this pain. It opens it up to a deadly, a mortal strike from you. Go ahead, Jeremy. How do you finish this thing off after crippling its arm?
So this thing's claw kind of opens and drops Achesius. Achesius kind of lands hard on the ground, and Achesius kind of rises, and we can see like blood pouring from the corners of his mouth and kind of mingling with his what was a well-groomed beard. And there's just pure like malice on his face, this kind of cold, calculated aggression. And this thing kind of looks down at its claw kind of still hanging on, and just as it kind of turns its attention back to Achesius, he's already crossed like the short amount of distance that was left, getting right up against this thing, placing his shield like up against its torso to kind of push its head back, and then has driven his orichalcum war spear up through the bottom of his jaw and out through the top of his head.
And so this creature falls dead as his eyes roll back into its head, collapses into the water, splashes, wash over everything. as all of you become drenched in this crystal clear. Well, I mean, not anymore. Now it's mixed with the blood of a crab monster. This water washes over all of you. Unless you have any other actions, Akisius, we'll move on to the initiative order.
No, I think that's it.
All right. Astera, you are crumpled on the ground, being tossed aside as if you're a dead nothing. Make a death saving throw, please.
Yeah, that didn't go so well. I got a 7.
All right, you take one step closer to death. Xanthine. The only things that remain now are 3 of these Sidon-blessed Tritons that gnash and claw at Akisius's shield, but can barely dent his armor. You know that Astera is lying limp on the ground in a distant corner of this cavern. What do you want to do?
I think this is the time where it didn't matter what she did. She tried to aid her, yet this thing still tossed Astera like a rag doll. And Xanthine's temper, that feeling of helplessness and stuff, overwhelms her and takes control. And the winds whip up even more than they have before. And she is going to move, kind of like fly within, right in the middle of the 3 remaining Tritons that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that begone comes from her, but this time it is so loud. It echoes through the entire cavern. I will spend another sorcery point to protect the 3, even the 3 party members. But this thundering boom and the winds that have erupted are so fierce. I'm casting it at a higher level, so they need to make that Constitution saving throw. Again, DC 15.
One of them makes it. The other 2 fail.
Okay. I am also using my channel divinity for this, so it's going to be max damage instead of me rolling. Sorry, I lost the page. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4d8 is 32. So 32 points of thunder damage blows through these guys. The one that succeeds, I'll take half.
Yeah, that's enough to, even with it succeeding on the con save, it just gets obliterated by this crash of thunder that you emanate.
Yeah, it's way overpowered probably for the situation, but she, like I said, has lost all control of this storm that's raging around her. That is, I think, all I can do at this point. And as soon as the boom explodes, then the winds kind of die down, and Xanthine is kind of falls to the ground, kind of breathing maybe a little bit heavy, not really realizing what has actually happened around her at this point.
All right, that brings us then to Echo. All the creatures around you lie dead, skewered through the brain or blasted apart by thunderous magic, or shattered and frozen by your own magic itself. It seems a bit calm here, though Astera lies bleeding, broken in heaps in the far distant corner of this cavern. What do you want to do?
How far away is Astera?
20 feet maybe away.
Okay. Echo is going to run to Astera and cast Spare the Dying.
And thus, as your magic washes over her, it stops her from going to the land of the dead for just this one time. We exit initiative order. And Astera, you'll wake about an hour later from your unconsciousness. What do the 3 of you do in this hour?
Akisius removes the remainder of the claw of this creature, looking for maybe one of the spines or something that's kind of off the back side of it. And as he's trying to regain his composure and take some time to regather his strength, he's going to begin separating this and trying to make a trophy out of it that he can wear.
Yeah, definitely. There's probably a way you can turn the spiny carapace as you break it, perhaps as a pauldron, or a part of your leg plates, or something that you can, a smaller bit you can hang on a cord around your neck or something. Something cool.
When I have calmed down and got my breath back, I will go over to Esther. That she's been spared, but I will heal her. What's cure wounds? Sorry. Okay, so you can take 16 points of healing as she comes over.
As you snap to, blessed by the priestly magic of Xanthine, you awake again, your body sore, stiff, numb, bruised, battered, broken, but alive.
For a moment, I thought perhaps you would have been able to take a message, Vagonitis. It's just good to see that message is delayed. That was not expected today. Are you recovered? Okay. He kind of picks himself back up on his feet. Ugh. He's still, injured very much, kind of favoring one side of his ribs. Lead on.
So the path stretches around to this bridge made of oak. And as you cross it, you'd enter almost this shrine built atop the waves. Oh, not the waves, the water out of the center of this lake, silhouetted by this grand waterfall. The doors themselves are closed, though not locked, it seems.
Stera would open them.
And inside you see a large duo of braziers, though unlit. Dried herbs hang from cords all around where the walls meet the ceiling, encircling the shrine. At the far edge of this little shrine is a fountain that bubbles up with water, and some marble tablet stands in front of this fountain. Its inscriptions, however, are a bit too distant to read from here. There are urns, dozens of urns in this place, though some of them seem to be knocked over, some broken. some chipped, as if they either were knocked over in haste or they've been knocked over and just neglected. Otherwise, this shrine is empty.
Could those creatures have taken the oracle? Would the gods have allowed this?
Where would they have taken her?
Akisius kind of turns towards Xanthine.
Yeah, so would Astera.
Those things, they came from the sea, no?
They did. Yes.
Do you know where they took her?
Well, I don't know, but I could maybe guess. But it would just be that.
As would the knowledge of whether they were actually her abductors or not.
There must be some clues in here, some way of knowing. They must have left something behind. And Astera's going to start looking.
Yeah, Akisius will join her. That he's kind of half-heartedly looking around, not really being one for investigation.
Xanthine is totally helping Astera try to find any indication of where the oracle may have gone.
For those of you who are investigating this place, please roll investigation rolls.
6.
12.
See you, Xanthine, you note the broken urns, the pottery shattered on the one edge inside in the alcove. It's noteworthy, but does not draw any conclusions from you. No obvious things. You see, as you go up to the inscription on the tablet, it reads something very similar to what you heard by that blind priestess back at the temple's surface. Drink from the waters of her lifeblood and see as she does. And behind this inscription on this tablet is this bubbling fountain. We see that there is a pitcher and cups, 8 of which. Otherwise, you see nothing else of note.
I think Xanthine would reach out for one of the cups. You said there was a pitcher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She would fill it with whatever's in the pitcher and then drink.
And as Xanthine drinks, you taste this cool, refreshing water. Almost a twinned experience to what you had before. Does anyone else come to drink of this water, or is it just you, Xanthine?
Would Xanthine say anything about the inscription?
No, she probably is not thinking that far ahead. She's just reacting at this moment.
Yeah, I think Astera would just be looking still.
And you'd see Xanthine stand, keep standing, staring pensively, it seems, at the wall, though you cannot see her face. But Xanthine, what do you experience we'll move to in a short little bit. Xanthine makes no sounds.
Uh, I imagine Akisius, since he's not really joining much in the investigation, he's just kind of like poking around half-heartedly, as if the explanation is going to just leap out. Um, he kind of turns and notices that Xanthing is now just like, immobilized, just staring at the wall. And he says, "What? What do you see?" He starts kind of crossing towards her. What? Xanthing, was it? What do you see?
And as you turn to see her face, you see her eyes are rolled back into her head. Her mouth is slightly agape. You see shallow breathing coming from her.
He's going to kind of look around to see if he can discern what did this to her. There's like some kind of sigil on the wall or something like that.
She holds a pitcher in one hand and a cup in the other, and a tablet of marble inscribed in gold. Drink from her lifeblood, and you shall see as her.
I think there may be an issue developing. He'll say to the other two.
And Echo hadn't been paying that close of attention at that point in time. She was kind of trying to logically reason out the Oracle's disappearance rather than taking an investigation. She responds that Akisius is talking to her, and like, what's our character's understanding of like the space they're in, since they drank from a cup to kind of get there?
None of you have ever gone this far in such a holy sanctum.
Okay.
And no one that you know of probably has ever gone this far. Even Agonitis perhaps is not even allowed to say what is beyond the drinking, as you are left in the dark there, Akisius. So it's a complete mystery to all of you.
Okay. Is there one entrance and one exit to the room we're in?
Yes, you're in a very small shrine, perhaps 15 feet at its widest in any way. It's very cramped here with the four of you.
Okay. Echo would be trying to reason everything out and think to out loud to everyone. Well, nobody noticed an oracle leaving her shrine, and there's no other way for her to have left here unless there's something going on here that I don't understand. She would cast Detect Magic.
And as your eyes become attuned to the workings of the gods, you see that the water itself that flows from this fountain is very enchanted and very magical.
Okay, and I would convey this information to the other two, that it's not just a drug, it would seem. There's some divine intervention happening in that drink. And I would kind of take a step back from it at the same time.
Well, do we follow? Do we do as she has done?
We've heard the words spoken to us twice now. One from the woman, the other from this slate. It may be something used to protect the Oracle even further, if monsters like those could get so close to her, so easily. And look, there have been no guards, no one protecting her. There must be something else.
You think that this was some kind of ruse?
Perhaps if those things had killed the men guarding her, we would have seen their bodies.
So then we drink again.
Well, we don't necessarily know that there aren't maybe more foes or something that would leave us really exposed if we all drank. So I'm more than willing to keep watch to make sure that you guys all stay safe while you do so.
The Oracle called you by name. You must answer to her. It is a great sin for you to not heed her call in every way possible.
I may have answered her call today, but I don't truly answer to her at all. And I don't believe that I have any fault to protect those that I face battle with.
Sarah looks at you, and you would expect her to say something in retort, but she doesn't. And you can almost see there's like this look of respect in her eyes, but she would take from the fountain and drink.
And in likeness, for a moment it seems fine and refreshing. And then you feel relaxed. And others would see your eyes roll back into your skull as you stand, rigid yet pensive, staring at the fountain or the wall, wherever you were facing at the time, and moving.
Archesius will kind of reach over and take the pitcher from Astera's hand and pour himself a chalice as well. But before he drinks it, he'll kind of pause and look towards Echo, and he says, "You know, there were many times when Agonitis faced foes that were beyond even his strength. Sometimes he had to rely on more than just his strength in order to prevail. And these were situations where, even though he was not fearful, I was. I found more than once that it was difficult to step forward with the fear that built inside of my gut. But I had to have faith." He extends the pitcher towards her. Faith in the gods, faith in myself. And he drinks.
Echo would not take the pitcher from Archesius. She would get notably angry at that point and end up yelling to herself in this cavern. It's not my fault that you guys are all ignoring the physical threat to you all right now. We're in a cave where we were just attacked by Tritons and a giant ichthys that almost killed Astrea. And all I'm trying to do is make sure that you all don't end up dead while you're staring off into space. And she's right in a huff, but nonetheless, she pulls out her quarterstaff, sits down, yet is keeping a watchful eye, but still notably in a huff.
And your temper lies without an audience as Archesius, almost mid-sentence, his eyes roll back as he grows rigid. And unfortunately, he does not get a reaction for you to receive. The three of you stand in a place where the water laps at your ankles. You feel your toes are submerged, and you look down, realize that you have no shoes, no sandals. You realize you're quite bare beyond your simple loins. Ahead of you is a long, wide, endless platform. This ankle-deep water extends on forever. The marble tiling of this place seem to extend on forever. The sky is strange, like a starlit night, much akin to what this background of mine appears to be. And much like my background, you see a row of columns in the far distance. And you feel there's no other way to walk but forwards towards this place. As you splash through this water, uneasy step after uneasy step. But no, you weren't walking. You stand there now, in front of this place. You see white-robed attendants. One is impaled on a spear, from jaw to top of head, dead. Another lies in a bloody heap. You see, upon a platform raised above the water, is a long bed, the bed of royalty, a lounging bed. You see, an attendant lies dead at the base of this, with a spilt pitcher of wine and grapes that lie scattered on the ground, the bowl spilt. There is a woman lying on this bed, a woman who seems to be naked. She's facing away from you. And as you approach, but not even approaching, as you had not taken a step, she rolls over. You see long black hair cover her body from her head. Her eyes are green, like emeralds. At the center of her forehead is a red sphere. Perhaps it comes out of her skull. Perhaps it indents inwards. You cannot tell. Oh, puny mortals, she begins to say. You're looking for your dear oracle, aren't you? Wait. The scourge, the wreath, the sun. Oh, where are the scales? It matters not. Your oracle's far from here. I have taken her. Her attendant's dead. This place was a sanctity, a sanctum, a place of holy pensivity. I showed them. Come, don't be shy. She beckons you forward.
Do we recognize her as one of the older gods? No?
Who are you?
That is a question I can answer. I am no oracle, but I do know my own name. You may call me Lutheria, the mistress of death, nightmares, dreams, and everything that you fear. Of course, you may have forgotten who I am. Your ancestors didn't. In those thousands of years, I became nothing. Now I've killed the one thing that you seek. Oh, I don't want to ruin your hopes. She's somewhere. She's safe. She's been kidnapped, you might say. If you can rescue her, well, wouldn't that be sweet? And that's where we're ending our session.
Awesome. That was cool.
And thank you, everyone who watched and played and DM'd this game. It was a great pleasure interacting with all of these three kinds of people. If you're interested in watching more Titanbreak, catch us here every first Friday of the month, or some other day if that day just happens to not work. If you're playing in this game, you better know when the next game is. Else, you might turn into one of me. Otherwise, it was so fun to explore this world of Greek myth, reimagined and blended to suit my whims as a dungeon master. With that being said, unless anyone has any further ados, we will skedaddle on out of here and have everyone have a good night.